Well, I got a little bit of a fire going here on my day's hike. Been watching a few videos. Mitch over there at Native Survival has been having a series on cooking. I'm sorry I can't remember the name, Mitch, sorry. I will post that link to his series. And BushcraftBartons always have great videos involving cooking. But in both of those, and I hate to say there's a couple other ones and they slipped my mind. I will post the links to those also. But I've seen quite a few videos of them cooking steaks right on the coals. And I'm going to give it a shot. So I'm going to let this go for a little bit. I'm going to pause it until we get the fire going and get some coals built up. Then we'll get the steaks going. Or the steak, I should say. Alright, well, I'm going to start getting the steak together here. Just grab the sirloin and throw it in my pack and let it thaw out a little bit. One thing I will say, I've been really surprised some of the places I've been getting into, the amount of trash I've been finding. Anything you carry in, carry out with you. I don't even want to mention some of the things that I have found. It's alright, rummaging through my gear there looking for the salt. Go pop. There we go. Got a little sea salt here. Love the sea salt on the steak. Even if you have a cheaper cut steak, if you take a steak that's at room temperature, and I don't have near enough, but if you take the sea salt and cover that steak and let it set for a while, it makes a less tender cut or a cheaper cut a little bit more tender and a little bit better tasting. If I was at home doing this, I would actually, after it's set for some time, we'd let it set as much as an hour at room temperature, but I would actually take the steak and wash the salt off and then dry it with a paper towel or something before I cooked it. Now I'm just using a pepper on the steak, salt and pepper. Now I've kind of moved the coals a little bit. I'm going to move them a little bit more, leave the fire there so that I can, I think what I'll do is I'll move these. I've put some longer sticks on. I was going to put them in front, but I think I'll put them to the back. We'll throw that steak on and let it cook for a while. Mind you, I've never done this, so it's a learning lesson. But we're going to pause for a little bit while that cooks, and I'll come back here in just a little bit. Alright, well, we're going to check this and see how it's looking. Just a moment. And as it goes, Always check your equipment and the list of supplies before you go. If you clean your pack out and are cleaning your stuff, make sure you put it all back in. No plates, no forks. Oh, I think it's seared on that side. I'm going to turn that over. Oh my eye. Like I said, I've seen a few videos on YouTube with people cooking steaks, and all good looking steaks. I'm not sure if mine's going to be as good or as tasty, but it can't be bad. Steak in God's green earth, beautiful scenery. What could be better? Of course, as I said, having done this before. I get tongue-tied. Never having done this before, I'm not really sure how long to cook it, or how hot to keep the coals. I didn't have a lot there, you saw, but it seemed like it was cooking fairly good. That was the time that I paused it was only a few minutes. Well, let's turn this over. And also, if I was at home, I wouldn't be sticking the steak with a knife. I wouldn't be piercing it. I would be using some other kind of utensils to, oh, she's going to break apart on me, to turn it without sticking it. But as I said, without being at home and not having those utensils, we'll make do. I think I'm going to pull those up and move some coals underneath of it. Mind you, this probably isn't the best example of cooking a steak outside, but my first time doing it, and I hope the smoke isn't too much on the camera. Of course, the wind has changed and it's blowing right at the camera. I'm sorry, this is probably going to be edited quite a bit as I'm learning to cook these steaks. And there's a lot of moving the coals around and stuff. I don't think I had a proper coal bed, and I didn't want to bore you with just the moving of the coals and flipping of the steaks, so I'm thinking they're about done. I'm going to pull them off there. Just a moment. I'm going to pull them off and let them rest for a moment. I'll get back with you. Well, I put the steak back on. It's a little bit more done on the outside than it is on the inside. I learned that I probably had too much heat close to the steak and not enough actual just coals cooking the inside. The inside was still a little rare. As I said, I've never done this before, so it's a bit of a learning lesson. And that's, you know, I'd like to think anytime you fail at something, it's a chance to learn. You learn you should learn from the failures. So hopefully the next time I do this, I will have a little bit more knowledge on how to cook this steak on the fire. And if nothing else, I hope it encourages you to go out and try something that you haven't ever done before. And if you don't succeed, step back and figure out what you can learn from the process. Anyway, have a good afternoon. Talk to you later. I'm going to sit and enjoy this steak with a cold brew. I hope it's still cold. Talk to you later.